Hello, in this video we're going to be talking about slash chords. Welcome, my name is Justin. I'm a guitar teacher and I've been helping people improve their guitar skills for the past 10 years. So in today's video we're going to be talking about slash chords or triads over bass. I just want to set a limitation. This is going to be limited to the pop and rock guitarists, if you're new to this especially. In jazz, these kind of slash chords means a totally different thing. So we're just going to be focused on the pop and rock genre, just to clarify. So what I'm going to do for you in this video today is going to show you how to quickly find all these slash chords easily, because if you go online and look for the chords, you're going to find that, hey, there's a lot of variations. There's going to be a lot of different ways to play it, and one can get very confused on which shape to use. So let's start with what are slash chords. You probably have seen it in songs. It's when you see two letters and they're separated by that slash, that hence the name slash chords. The other name, like it suggests, means it's a triad over bass chord. The one thing I need to sort out with you right now is the letter on the left is the chord and the letter on the right is the bass note you want to change. It's as simple as that. Basically what you're doing is you're playing a chord but you're changing the bass note, and the bass note is the lowest note of the chord. Now on the guitar, the bass note is usually the lowest note that you are strumming from or plucking from. Let's take an F bar chord for example. So the lowest note is this is the F bass note. If let's say you have an F over G, which I'm going to explain in a bit, it means you're just changing the bass note to a G bass note. But what are slash chords used for? As I said, we're only going to explain it in the context of pop and rock. Now one of the very common progressions you will see is G, D, and E minor. Alright, and you always see them play these chords. And what songwriters would do is they would play a G, a D over F sharp instead, and an E minor. So the effect of this is you have a G bass, followed by an F sharp bass, followed by an E minor bass. It allows for a very smooth bass movement. And this is really dependent on the songwriter or the song itself. Don't be tempted to put the slash chord in the case of G, D or F sharp, E minor, as I've mentioned just now. Don't be tempted to put it in every time you see it, because like I said, not every song calls for it. If the original song says G, D, E minor, do put D, don't put D over F sharp. Because if you do it and you play in a band for example, you will clash with the bassist. The bassist needs to play the correct bass note. But if you do the F sharp, you will just clash with him and you're just going to get like dirty looks from him. So always obey the song. So the first thing I want to talk about slash chords in terms of learning it is something that I always tell my students. Whenever you learn a concept, be it a scale or a new chord, I think it's very important to learn it within the context of a song. That means you've seen it being used in the song and you learn it that way. All I'm doing in this video is show you how to get that easier, but you have to use it immediately in the song, right? You can't just learn things out of context. Always use it back in the song or always apply it in the song. The first chord I'm going to show you is G over B. So what does G over B mean? G over B means that you want a G chord, but you want to change it to a B bass. So how do we do that? The first thing you can do for yourself is to learn the low notes on the fretboard. I would say just stick with the bottom three strings, the D string, A string, and the E string. Learn up to maybe the 5th fret, the notes. Now the more you use it, the more you learn it, you'll be easier to memorize. So maybe you see G over B, go and find out, okay, where is the B note, the lowest B available. Remember, you need to always find the lowest bass note available. So if you check out like a chart, you will find out that B is on the 2nd fret, 5th string. Okay, and all you need to do, because the guitar is such a shaped instrument, is you take a G chord, eliminate the lowest note, which is this note here, and then play B as your lowest note. That's it. That's G over B. G chord, the shape of it, with a B bass. Don't worry if you feel that I have to play a complete G chord and then put the B over it. We only have 4 fingers to use, or maybe 5 if you use your thumb. Let's do another easy one. C over E. Okay, so we form a C chord first, Now if you notice by now, you're supposed to only strum 5 strings for the C chord. So where is our lowest E note? Well, if you can guess by now, our lowest E note is the E string. That's very obvious. The lowest E note is the E string. So when I pluck or play or I strum the C over E chord, I need to make sure that I'm hearing the lowest bass note, this E. Let's go over to another chord. We're going to try one or two more. There's D over F sharp. How do I play a D over F sharp? Well, like the name suggests, we play a D chord first. And if you look at the notes on the fretboard, if you have a chart, you find that, hey, there's one F sharp that's right at the 4th fret, 4th string here. And that's a proper D over F sharp. But especially if you're doing strumming and singing, I believe that you always need to get the lowest bass note. So the lowest bass note is actually this note here, F sharp. Okay, so what we're going to do, now D over F sharp is going to be a bit tricky. For me, normally I'll use my thumb, wrap around the top so that I catch the F sharp and I get a D over F sharp bass. Hopefully you can see that. Now if you can't, you need to modify your chord. So what I'll do here is keep the same shape, but I'll move up the fingers like this, and maybe I'll avoid the first string, or if I need to, maybe I'll do this, which is a bit clunky. So usually I end up doing like this. Okay, that's a D over F sharp. Now at this point of time, I'm going to talk about what if you don't know the bass note. For some reason you just forget what the bass notes are, you don't have a chart available. Now let's go back to G over B. Alright, so G over B means you play G with a B in the bass, and in the moment you forget where is the B note. Well, one quick fix I can offer you is think about the chords you play with B, like B minor or B7, or if you're good at it, B major. Think about where the lowest note is. Isn't the lowest bass note over here? Right? So that means this is B and G over B will be here. Hopefully this is self-explanatory. Alright, same with D over F sharp. You either play F sharp minor, remember that this is F sharp minor or F sharp major, and now you know that the lowest bass note is here. So that means your D chord needs to have this as your lowest bass note. So now let's talk about some intermediate chords. The first chord we'll take a look at is E minor over D. Now, it seems easy to play once I show you how to do it, but it requires some thinking out of the box. What do I mean by that? We know that E minor is this chord, right? And E minor, you want E minor over D means you want E minor over D in the bass. So where's your nearest D chord? Where's the lowest D? Our lowest D note is actually the D string. Right? And that might confuse people at the beginning because they will suddenly realize, hey, isn't E minor over D this then? Yes, it is true. If you just play the first 4 strings with the D bass, it's E minor over D. You know, with E minor you could do this, you know, the last 2 fingers over here, or your 1 finger on the 2nd string. These are all valid as long as you play from the D bass. Okay, so the next chord I want to talk about is F over A. What is F over A? So we know we want F with A as the lowest bass note. And this requires some manipulation a little bit. So what I need to do is take an F chord. The lowest available A note would be this open string here. So what I need to do is drop the bar like that and let go of the ring finger so I can bring my ring finger to the 4th string. So if you have done a half bar before, this is where it will come in handy, and then you just strum it from the A bass. That's F over A. So now we come to the part of the video where we deal with slightly trickier chords. I'm going to give you 2 examples. The first chord we're going to do is A over C sharp. So we want A chord with a C sharp in the bass. Now if you don't know where C sharp is, let me show you. If you think about C sharp minor chord or C sharp major for you adventurous folks, the C sharp, the lowest bass is here. Okay, that's the lowest bass available, or the one that you can easily find. But now we have a problem. If I play an A chord, how am I going to stretch over? So my hand is pretty small. I can't really stretch over like this, and it's going to be cumbersome. And think about how you need to play this chord suddenly in a song. You're never going to make it in time. So thinking out of the box a little bit, and that's why I reserved these last two chords for the last part of this video. I'm going to bar the A chord. You need to think out of the box a little bit. Retain the same shape, skip over the first string and mute it, and then using the ring finger, press the C sharp like this. That's A over C sharp. Now again, there's many ways to play A over C sharp, but I find that this is the easiest one for me to grab and use. Okay, let's do one more chord. This is a very interesting one, C over B flat. Take a C chord like this. Now if you figured out, right, B flat is the first fret of the 5th string. So I need this bass note to be gone and replace it with the 1st fret. So if you look at your C chord, you need to change it around like this. Like that. It's a little bit tricky, but sounds great if you have a B flat bass and you retain the bottom half of a C chord. Actually, it's very similar to the A over C sharp. If I take A chord and I shift it 3 frets to the right, it becomes C, right? So A, B flat, B, and then C. And there's a B flat over here, take my middle finger, there you have it, a nice C over B flat. It's the same sound, just that this is a bit more of an open string sound, right? So this is a bit trickier because you really, like I said, you need to think out of the box a little bit and apply it this way. Now think about, the guitar is a very shape-oriented instrument. You just take the shape, add the new bass note on top of it, or you change the shape around slightly so that you retain some of it while adding the bass note. I guarantee you that once you start doing it, you'll get the hang of it and you'll remember it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and do consider subscribing or sharing this video with someone whom you think will benefit from this, the information presented in this video. If you're interested in lessons, I do offer face-to-face lessons or online lessons if you're in another country. Hope to see you soon in another video.